Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, guys. We are from Group 6. We will discuss about environmental influences on plant disease. Before that, I will introduce myself and my friends. Next. My name is Fathia Luthfika with student number 251, and Putri Gracia Ardana with student number 255, Nida Amalia M with student number 256, Qisty Nurani with student number 262, Diega Rahasinatra with student number 265, Ashila Almas with student number 267, and Ziaulhaq with student number 279.
For the beginning, environmental factors are conditioned to have a major role in disease development. The condition of susceptible host plant and virulent pathogen will not affect disease development. Disease will not appear if there are no external factors that influence it. Next. Host plant with virulent pathogen present at the same time in an area do not always guarantee severe infection. The presence of factor controlling the environment in which the epidemic developed. It can be seen that the relationship between environmental factor and the development of disease is very close. Next. How external factors affect disease development on plants. The environment can be affect the host plant in the form of availability, cropping rate, genetic susceptibility, reproduction rate, and others. The environment may also affect the number and activity of vectors.
One, pathogens interacts with the physical or chemical environment that provide not only moisture, temperature, and nutrients, but also toxins. After the pathogens is in the plant, disease begins and the growth of the pathogen is determined by environmental factor. Example is moss fungi from spores in humid weather, and second is the physical or chemical environment interact with the host plant in the process of providing suitable or unsuitable growing conditions for the growth of the host and the emergence of abiotic disease. This example is applying too much and fertilizer can make plants more susceptible to disease. External factor influence pathogens indirectly direct. First, spread of pathogens. The ones can determine the distance, close proximity of spore dispersal to spread of factor inside that spread pathogens. Example, low temperature, strong winds, humid air, measles persicae, no flying, also happened to Bemicica tabaci, disease-causing vector tobacco crackers will hold on tight on plants and won't fly. And second is the antagonism in the ground. Microorganisms that are antagonistic to soil pathogens. Antagonistic suppress the development of pathogens, produce antibiotics. Example is Trichoderma viride, produce resistant gliotoxins and viridins-rich alkaline. And host competition with pathogens obtain nutrition. Pathogens that can survive in the soil are usually saprophytic facultative, which is less able to compete with saprophytes. In soil, against many microorganisms such as bacteria, antinomycotes, fungi that produce antibiotics.
Influence of weather on plant disease. First, air temperature. The influence of air temperature on pests and plant disease, among others, controls the development, survival, and spread of insects. The high and low intensity of sunlight is directly proportional to the high and low air temperature. The influence of environmental temperature on insect pests can be grouped into 5 zones. First, maximum temperature zone. Second, inactive or estivation high temperature zone. Third, the optimum or effective temperature zone. Fourth, low temperature zone of inactivity or hibernation. And the last, minimum temperature zone.
2. Air moisture. The insect need for water is strongly influenced and closely related to the state of environment, especially humidity and water availability. To express the water content in the air, it's down to absolutely air humidity, specific air moisture, relative air humidity, and vapor pressure. The ability of insect to survive against moisture varies greatly depending on the species. 3. When effect indirectly affect moisture and its direct effect is the dispersal of spores, the dispersal of insect vector, and the expansion resulting from friction by the wind. For example, the release and distribution of Canlamidia, Pilamidia oryzae, which is heavily affected by wind speed. For array of sunshine, indirect effect of solar radiation on deepness and rising environmental temperature will directly is the spore. Lethal effect or the spore germination vessel in most pathogen.
Effect of soil on plant disease. 1. pH. Different types of soil pathogens show different developmental patterns depending on the basicity or acidity of the soil. Low soil pH condition can make pathogens more infective than high soil pH. 2. Organic ingredients. Role of organic ingredients matter in suppressing the development of pathogen is not only by increasing soil microbial activity, but also by improving root health so as to make plants more resistant to disease. That manner can increase the nutrient content of the soil as well as the population of beneficial soil microbes.
Number 3, high level nutrient. High level of nitrogen, potassium, and low silicon make plant more sensitive to pathogenic infection, brown leaf spot disease, or Hemitosporium oryzae on rice plant is known to be indicative of potassium deficient land. Number 4, temperature. Low transpiration cause water loss in leaf tissue to be slow and the emergence of plant will to be delayed. High temperature cause plant to lack water and eventually wilt. Environmental temperature also affect the growth of spores that can cause disease in plant. I think that's enough presentation from our group that discuss environmental influences on plant disease. If you have any question, you can ask us at WhatsApp group. Thank you.